Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for the Making Progress channel, and today's video is called Money Can Buy Happiness. Holy crap, what's up with this money obsession lately? Video number 15 from Morality and Personal Conduct sub-series. Here we go. First, we are going to ask what happiness is, which we did answer already in video number 2 of the channel. You can always search that, but we'll embellish it a little bit more. Then we're going to ask what money is, deep philosophical perspective. We're going to talk about how money cannot buy happiness. We'll just get rid of the nasty stuff first. Then talk about how money can buy happiness in a not inclusive but very well-curated list, I think. And then talk about future directions of what money should be able to buy you happiness-wise in the future. All right. So direct quote from my video number 2 in this channel's existence: happiness is not a mystery. It is your nervous system's way of directing your behaviors toward evolved ancestral survival goals. For example, what makes you happy? A warm blanket in a cold room because you have a deep, neurally embedded drive to seek physical comfort. A tall glass of water when you're parched because you have a similar drive for reducing thirst and enhancing hydration. Eating tasty food when you're hungry because that's what keeps you alive. Having yourself some sex when you're horny because that is all procreation-y and stuff, and that's why you like to do it, because the people who did not like to have sex simply did not pass on their genes to the same extent, or at all, and do not represent our current population. Everybody you know that is alive is descended from someone that liked to have themselves some sex. Period. And enjoying the company of others also makes us happy because we are social animals, and, well, that's the reason why we have society and progress, so that's great. So that really is where you derive your happiness from, and money definitely buys all those. Well, let's go back, look at the list. Warm blanket in a cold room, easy. Buy that at Walmart right now. Tall glass of water when you're parched is, we've solved the hydration problem so well in society that water is almost free. By the way, that's where all goods and services are headed in the end, but make that in a later video. Eating tasty food when you're hungry is the most direct, easy thing you can buy. Drive through McDonald's. Having yourself some sex when you're horny, for a price, you can purchase it. I suppose later, Scott the Video Guy, this isn't even on my list. No, I think it is on my list somewhere in the 400s or something. Legalizing prostitution is rational, is a good idea. I'll get in there at some point, get the incels all pissed off. But they really should be happy because they're consumer number 1 for that shit. Motherfucker, you ain't getting pussy any other way, you little bitch. Enjoying the company of others, a little bit more difficult to buy with money, but we'll get there. Certainly, you can buy yourself a trip and an Airbnb for all of your friends if you have enough money, and thus you can more easily enjoy the company of others. Also, think of it another way. If you have enough money, you can voluntarily reduce your work hours without starving and thus make literal time for hanging out with other people. Remember back in the year 1890, 1900, 1910, most people that are involved in factory work, actually, I take that back. Most people involved in any kind of work, whether at farm or factory, worked the vast majority of the time that they were awake. Hanging out was very limited. So now we can buy more of that. So money's sweet and it buys all that. But we use money colloquially a bit differently. So let's attend to that definition. To most, happiness is a sensation of feeling good. To many, it's deeper than that. It's a deep intrinsic satisfaction and emotional stability about the way things are and the way you think they're headed. And there are layers to happiness. For example, you could have a superficial level of happiness when you smirk as you bite into a piece of your favorite gum, be it juicy fruit or my favorite brand of gum, semen flavored gum. It tastes just like your favorite food. I love it. I should be brand repping that shit. The emotion experienced watching your kids graduate from college, probably a little bit more profundity of happiness there when just biting in a piece of gum. You look over at your dad when he's sitting there watching you graduate. You're like, I did it, Dad. He's like, oh, sorry. I was just smiling from the gum. Fuck out of here. We never needed college. It's $80,000 of my money down the drain, you little stinker. I have kids. I'll just call them little stinkers all the time. Get out of here, you little scamp. Is that, Scott the Video Guy, is that a word? Little scamps. And my children will exclusively be dressed in impoverished 1920s attire with a button missing from their little mini overalls and one of those sideways driver's hats. Meow, sir. Can you please spare a penny? Man, get out of here, kid. You hit him with your gold-plated cane. You don't hit him. You nudge him away. Fuck out of my way, little kid. I'm telling you guys, unrelated. Related, because this is about money. Being an asshole rich guy peaked like in the 1920s, bro. It's all downhill. Elon Musk, if you didn't know what he looked like, you could just mistake him for some other motherfucker. Zuckerberg, he looks like a regular dude. You just never think he was anything. He wears jeans and a polo, and you're like, really? Where is your dirigible? Where is your gold-plated everything? Do you have people that work for you and there's hundreds of them and they surround your home at all times and tend to your every need? Also no? This is awful. In any case, my disparity aside, there are still deeper layers of happiness, even than watching your kids graduate college. There is an experience of sitting in your deep meditative practice in near total stillness. And it is a sublime level of happiness that is difficult to communicate in words. So how does money map onto all these? Does money buy some of these? Does it buy all of these? In order to figure that out, let's just talk about real quick what money actually is. Money by itself is just useless pieces of paper, nearly useless. You can wipe your ass with it, but not much else. You can, like Pablo Escobar did, throw a bunch of it into a fire and have it give you warmth. Not the best use of money, I will say, but marginally at the time, probably the best in his case. Or it's digital bits on a computer that are manipulated this way, that way. They don't mean basically anything. The value of money is not in and of itself, is in what money represents. And money represents the ability to get goods and or services from other members of society. Money's like a giant IOU. And your ability to get this is even more enhanced if it's at a stable, known exchange rate. You know roughly how much money is going to get you how much goods and services. It's not insanely fluctuating. So money is just a symbol for the ability to buy stuff or service. That's it. So we have to ask the question of what can you buy with money that makes you happy? But first, it's actually easier to talk about what you can't buy with money that will not make you happy. Things money cannot buy currently to resolve your happiness problems. First, money cannot buy you happiness if your brain chemistry is off. If you are chemically, neuroendocrinologically unable to experience as much happiness as you could be, gee whiz, you can buy a lot of shit and it's just not going to help you. So you can go to Hawaii for vacation, 5-star hotel, expensive, very nice champagne. And if you're clinically depressed, this all kind of doesn't really matter much. So for sure. Next, if you're trying to use money to change someone else's emotions or opinions, that is a very best case scenario, a huge uphill road. At worst case, in some sense, just not really effectual. Come up to your high school crush that never loved you back. I have like 10 of those. And just try to offer her an amount of money for which she will actually love you truly and deeply, because that's what you want. But that is not a service she's able to provide. Now, even if she was willing to provide it, you're like, hey, look, I'm actually a billionaire now. I'll give you $10 billion for you to love me. She's going to be like, look, bro, for real? I would love to do that. I will love you deep and true for $10 fucking billion. But I can't click that in my head by myself. It's unconscious or subconscious. I can't do it. I don't have control over it. So that's tough. Money cannot really buy you love in the deep sense of the word. Yet. I'll save that for future discussions. Another problem is if you don't know what actually makes you happy, and then you spend a lot of money. Rock stars plow through a shitload of girls, a shitload of heroin, and then like, oh man, fame doesn't even make me happy. Well, word up. You sure shit spent a lot of money on that. So if you don't know what actually makes you happy, you sort of by definition can't spend money on it. Next, if you think not working will make you happy, people work really hard, save up a bunch of money, retire, and then they sit around and just veg out and they fucking hate it. It turns out the research literature on this is relatively clear. Most people, the ability to feel productive and have a job that you do, whatever that job is, however little of it you do per day or a lot, some amount of productive work makes most people, happier than having less of that or none of that. So if you think that not working is going to make you happy, you win the lottery and it turns out you're not really much happier or not happier at all, or even less happy winning the lottery, then that makes a lot of sense because quitting work is not the fastest route to happiness for almost anybody. Another way money can't really buy you happiness is if you're unhappy because of how the past went and those memories of unfortunate events haunt you or haunt your reputation. I mean, memories haunting you, that's obvious. I don't have to explain that one. I should have never said that one thing to that girl in college and she denied me and I was so sad and God damn it. You guys ever relive when you're falling asleep at night, like awful, terrible pickup lines you gave to people that are cringeworthy? I don't. Ever. relive them constantly, shuddering at the things that I said to people. Wishing I had a time machine, which I come out and just drop kick myself away and be like, hold on, sorry, he's going to fly away. Let me take care of this for you. Money can't really do much about that current state. And what about reputation? Well, like how rich does Harvey Weinstein need to get if he's ever free of jail for people to like him? I don't know. Maybe there's not a sum for that. Hey, do you want to go meet Harvey Weinstein? The girl's like, no, I don't. They're like, but he's a billionaire now. Like, yeah, word up. Fuck that. So some of that stuff money can't fix. And if you can't convert on opportunities that you're presenting yourself with, then the money that buys those opportunities can be wasted. And it can't buy as much happiness as you think, or maybe not at all. So for example, let's say you're just a dog shit conversationalist. Can you pay enough money to have people around you to talk to? Yeah, absolutely. Will you enjoy talking to them? You may not, and they might not enjoy talking to you because you just suck at talking. So, you could also buy a crap load of golf lessons for a shitload of money from the best golf pros in the world and get not much better at golf, or certainly not as good as you thought you were going to get, and actually be disappointed by spending millions of dollars on golf lessons because you could not, in your current state of affairs, capitalize on that opportunity. Like, I'm not paying money for basketball lessons because your boy's a short king. Not everyone needs to be a tall king, or as Johnny Shreve once told me, a medium king. So fuck that. Fuck a basketball, bro. I have a chair made out of exclusively game-winning NBA basketballs that I have in one of my rec rooms and one of my properties and one of my continents that I own. But playing basketball, nah, that's for the birds. I also have a team of genetically engineered birds trained to play basketball. Yes, that's the kind of rich that I am. In any case, we shat on money buying happiness. Is this a video about money can buy happiness though, right? So let's get right to the point on that. Finally, Jesus Christ, 30 fucking minutes into the video, I'm actually getting to the video. How can money buy you happiness? In at least, scrolling ahead here in my little PowerPoint, 8 ways. First, status. Having more money gives you more status in most cases. And there are a few ways in which you can wrap your head around this that will make you happier. A positive way that I found has worked for me is that if I ever get down on myself, and I have made quite a bit of money so far in my life, I never thought I would make as much money as I have. I think to myself, you did so well. You helped so many people with such valuable things that now you have a lot of money. You have enough money to be relatively financially secure for a while. And so it's kind of cool and it's kind of impressive to myself, not in a showy way, but like it gives me solace that I did something meaningful and the evidence for it is crystal clear. So in a sense, I have my own personal status is slightly tied to my money-making history and abilities because it impresses me. And that's it. And now you, because I'm talking about it and bragging like a piece of shit. There's another way to have status with money is that you show it off a lot. Bling, bling. I do have a fleet of 19 and a half. One is under construction currently. 19 and a half Lamborghinis, which I actually parade. My butlers drive them. And I'll have them every Sunday morning when people are leaving church. I'll have my butlers drive the Lambos around town. They make a ton of noise. They're flashy. I like to impress upon people that I'm rich. Me. You know how rich I am? I don't even show up to that shit. I've seen fucking Lambos before. I don't need that crap. Also, I don't like being around regular townspeople. They skeeve me out with their poverty or average income or whatever that is. Same. But some people, all jokes aside, really do like to be flashy with their money. And you know what? For many of them, that does not really make them happy. But I got to be completely honest. For some of them, it seems to make them fucking happy as shit. Flexing on motherfuckers with your money makes some people feel real good. I do believe that. Does it make me feel real good? Hell no. You guys ever see how I dress? I intentionally, every single part of my life, how I come across, try to hide the fact that I have any money at all. Not because I'm like skeeved out by people knowing I'm fucking loaded or whatever. I'm not that loaded. But just because, first of all, I don't give a shit. And also, I think status flexing is kind of awkward, at least awkward for me to do. Like some guy could put on like a fucking pink blazer and a cowboy hat and go to the club and do like traditional mystery-based game and it works and he gets laid. I have my own ways of doing shit like that. That ain't me. It just feels wrong if I do it. It just does not feel like me. So me personally, I don't like to flex with money. I wear exclusively athletic clothes. I actually buy almost all of my shoes at Walmart. For online, they're $10 per pair and they last for 6 months. So they're a great investment, sort of. You useful, and I suppose they're not really an investment, a used up good. And I have like, I've been to like one Michelin star restaurant ever and I hated it. Very likely never going back. Scott, the video guy, what other ways in which I look like a poor schlep? I don't have a vehicle. I drive my wife's car, which is a used Subaru Outback. I do not actually in real life have any Lamborghinis at all. I will never purchase a Lamborghini. I could make $1 billion. I would never purchase a fucking Lamborghini. 2 reasons. Why? I like McLarens better. Also, I'll never purchase one of those. And also, when you purchase an exotic car, it is a giant fucking liability. You have to take care of it. I don't know how to drive a car like that. I don't know how to drive stick shift. I don't fit into a car. It's like 10 reasons. In any case, I'm just not a flashy person. But some people are flashy, and it really makes them happier to present their value to other people. So I'm not judging them. If you want fucking spinning rims and a gold house, you're the fucking man. So that's status. Second, financial security. This I do purchase. I spend almost all of my money on it. The idea that if the economy goes like this and you're in deep shit, or the economy goes like this and you're back to square one, scares the living shit out of me. Probably because I'm genetically mostly an Ashkenazi Jew and that shit is just straight up woven into my DNA. I was never into money as a kid. As I made more money, I got more frugal. It's the craziest shit I've ever experienced in my life. I made more and more money every year for like 5 years and then stable. And I'm like, I want more. And I want to invest it. Why? Invest it into what? Invest it so the money can go up. Why? Because I want to be able to know that no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay money-wise in the future. I was born in the Soviet Union. I have lived through the kind of poverty most people can't comprehend. I don't ever want to see that shit again. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. And so, to me, financial security is the most valuable thing I could possibly buy with my money at the current time. And goddamn, does that give you peace of mind. Holy shit, does that give you peace of mind. It gives you the kind of peace of mind that almost nothing else can buy you, because it means that the things you want in the future, you're still going to be able to get because of the work you did in the past. Holy fuck. So in that case, money can buy a shitload of happiness. I worried a lot about things I straight up don't worry now about because I have money. And that's probably true for you and true for almost everyone else. So the people that confidently, usually hippies that have an inheritance and rich parents say, money doesn't buy happiness, man. Oh yeah? Well, your parents bought you a shitload of it by making you financially secure, you fucking hypocrite. Number 3, health security. There is a chance that your health goes south, and generally speaking, medicine is very affordable in most Western nations. But if you live in a place that has socialized medicine, you may be subject to restriction on supply, and a new experimental procedure is just not available to you. So you have to go to another country and buy it. Money can give you that. If you live in a country with a more market-based medical system, which is awful and terribly run in the United States and is not even that market-based, then you can scale up to buying things that are prohibitively expensive for other people. By the way, in the end, everyone gets the same amount of healthcare anyway. Some people are just restricted in socialized medicine by availability, and people are restricted in less socialized medicine by some combination of availability and cost. Either way, the same amount of medicine is given out, roughly. So if you are really rich, you can buy experimental medicine and save your ass when there's just not any amount of money that you could spend. I'll give you guys, I'm not going to say who this is, it's profoundly personal, but I knew an individual who had a child that was very sick. And this child was like 4 years old, sick, like real bad. And this person spent, I think, several $100,000 on experimental medicine for the kid. Now, if you think money is the root of all evil, and you think rich people suck, and then your kid gets sick, and you want that kid to get the best medicine possible, who the fuck has produced enough value, enough surplus value for society so that your kid can get treatment? That got to come from somewhere. Does it come from taxing other rich people? Sweet. You also think money can buy happiness. It's just other people's money. And if you were rich, you would buy happiness directly by helping to heal your young child that's sick. Number 4, if you have money, you can do more support for friends and family with gifts. So sometimes folks need help. You have friends that are down on the luck. You scoot them some money. No problem. You're the fucking man. that buys you a lot of happiness because you're being a fucking awesome person to your friends and family. And what makes you happier than that? Very few things. Or you're just being really kind. And then you can like buy them cool shit or take them on fun trips. And that's really awesome because you're doing a really nice thing. And that thing costs money, by the way. Being able to just pour resources voluntarily down the throats of your family and friends, if you are much wealthier than them, or even if you're a similar wealth and just give them gifts, is an unbelievable thing. Like, I want more rich friends, goddammit. I don't go out looking for them because that's weird and creepy. But, you know, if you are a wealthy friend to someone or a wealthy family member, there's a lot of happiness you can generate for them and by extension for yourself because you're doing a really awesome thing. And the ability to do awesome things is magnified manyfold by how much money you have. So money can buy happiness in that regard. Next, money can be an outlay for charity. The more money you have, the more you can give to charity, which should make you very happy if you're a good person, and should make the recipients of charity very happy because now they have charity. I don't want to put too fine a point on this, but I will anyway. Folks on the political left think money is bad and rich people are evil. Make more money and valorize those who do so you can give more to charity, or they can give more to charity by you convincing them to get even richer and give even more to charity. Every single leftist protester in San Francisco or Berkeley or Portland, almost down to the individual, has produced far less good for the very poorest people in this world than Bill Gates did in like one day that he was giving out charity. And he gives out charity every fucking day of his life. So if you really like helping other people, you should work to be as productive as possible so that you can give the vast majority of your income to charity. It's easier, isn't it? It's sexier, isn't it, to go get a fucking sign and parade around on no justice, no peace. Shut the fuck up. Get a job, use your brain, produce a shitload of money, live at a meager subsistence level like Jesus Christ and Buddha and everyone else who's a fucking the world's best person ever, Mother Teresa, and then give the rest of your money to the needy. I haven't seen a whole lot of those people do that shit. Weird. Next, if you really strain your brain, the more money you make, the more taxes you can pay to help the rest of society in a non-charitable fashion. So leftists, you say billionaires are bad. No, billionaires are great. They pay unreal taxes and help a ton of people out. And this is usually when leftists say, yeah, but as a fraction of their income, they're paying whatever tax. That's a totally separate discussion. We could have a very productive discussion about what fraction of income simultaneously takes lots of money away from billionaires to spend on the rest of us, but also incentivizes billionaires to continue to become trillionaires so we can really benefit later. That's a super productive discussion. But whatever money you get, let's say billionaires pay 2% of their money as taxes instead of the 30% that you want. 2% of a billionaire's income is a fucking obnoxious amount of money that you will never in your life yourself create. Now, I'm being a bit hyperbolic. Maybe you will. Still an unbelievable amount of money. You want more rich people, and then you want to tax them. You are not against money. You are for money. Because who the fuck do you think pays taxes? Money does. Money's great. Do you think taxes buy happiness? Do you think well-functioning roads buy more happiness than poorly functioning roads? Do you think a well-functioning justice system does that? Do you think pension for older folks? Do you think socialized medicine at whatever level you think it should be around, paid for by taxes exclusively, I might add, do you think that makes people happier than not having socialized medicine? Then you think money buys happiness. And anytime you say that it doesn't, that's wrong. Don't mean to come down too hard on you leftist folks. You have a lot of really great ideas, and you're generally really nice people. I'll go down on other people later on this channel. Point number 7. This is really straightforward. This is the thing most people think money buys that's good. Amazing foods, amazing places to rent or live, travel, paying people, other people to do your chores like your taxes and be your lawyers and stuff so you don't have to bother with it. This is obvious stuff, but it's nice stuff. Like when you get wealthy enough, it makes literal financial sense for you to have someone to come clean your house. Because if you do an extra hour of work, that pays for 10 times the amount of money that it costs for someone to clean your house. So now you have enough money and literally very good logic to hire a house cleaner. Having other people clean your house is fucking unbelievable. It's amazing. Do you like cleaning your house? Maybe you do. Then you should keep doing it. Some people do not like it. I fucking hate it. And if I can pay somebody else to do it, it's unbelievable. Now, also it's win-win because they get a job. They get money. But I get to not do the stupid shit anymore. Money clearly makes me happier in that regard. Because if you say, hey, what do you want to do for the next hour? The job that you love the most in this world or like cleaning up the house? I'd be like, well, I suck at one of those. I hate doing one of those. And one of those is a drain on my productivity with alternate uses of my time. I'm going to go ahead and say an hour of my own work. Amazing. Money just bought me happiness. Because if I didn't have that much money, somebody would have to clean the fucking bathroom, and a sure shit would have to be me because I don't have money to pay anybody else. So money, again, brings happiness. And lastly, and most importantly, money brings you investment opportunity. So you can increase the amount of happiness on all of the points I just mentioned in the future by letting your money properly leverage in a position to help other people in the economy generate value, bring you some return value. That's what investments are. And then it goes up over time. And so all investment increases all of the global utility of happiness. Pretty dope. Now, where is all of this going in the future? Other than robots and lasers, typical future shit. Ooh, cyberpunk girls. Scott the Video Guy, you into that shit?
We like hipsters, right?
You don't like hipster girls? What a dick. All right. What are the future directions? We know money buys us some happiness now, and some things it doesn't buy happiness with. What can we expect reasonably in the future? Here's the thing. Let's look at the past. What you can buy as far as happiness, as far as value with money, has been going up through, on average, through all of recorded history. If I was the richest man in the world in the year 1500, I couldn't leverage all of my wealth to buy one fucking tab of ibuprofen if I had a headache. Not one. It just didn't exist. That sucks. I don't even know if indoor plumbing was a thing back then. I suspect not. Most diseases were still real. Other than like a court jester, some shitty local food that's likely to get me fucking poisoned by someone else, or like concubines or something that also are not clean by definition because the ability to clean yourself well wasn't invented back then. Jesus Christ. Being the richest guy in the world in 1500, fucking blue dick. A rich guy in the year 2035, in the near future, may be able to buy some shit that is just straight up wacky as far as happiness. You may be able to buy near full or full immersion in virtual reality in worlds that offer you very happy things at a marginal cost of almost nothing because they're simulated. Go into VR. Eventually, you'll be able to eat all the tasty foods you ever wanted and have a full experience of eating tasty food, even though it's not really there, and costs whatever the amount of energy is to run the VR simulation. Sex. You're going to be having yourself a lot of VR sex in the future. I certainly will make a video about that. Travel. You can go anywhere in the world that's VR simulated, and even places that don't exist in the world that are VR simulated. Conversation. You can get into VR and have fun with your friends. We're already doing it in a certain sense. Anytime that I talk to someone I like or don't like on Instagram, I am engaging in a beautiful conversation that I think is worth my time. It makes me happier and it makes them happier. And it isn't real conversation. It is actually simulated conversation because I'm not talking to that person. I'm talking to a digital representation of what they said through text. And so the ability to talk to anyone in the world, really, mostly anyone in the world, in seconds time and have a beautiful, productive conversation, that is something that you paid in 1980. You couldn't pay any amount of money to have that. You mean short of like installing a landline somewhere in Africa so you could talk to some guy in some village. Now he has a cell phone. He can just fucking, you know what I'm saying, ask you for Bob's anywhere he is. Big deal. But that's not it. In the future, it may be possible to genetically engineer, and in fact, theoretically, it's a very tractable problem, to genetically engineer a person who has clinical depression, and then they just don't have depression anymore, never will. Furthermore, it'll be possible to engineer your affect directly, such that, let's say your average mood is like, yeah, pretty decent mood. You have happier times and sadder times, but on average, you're like, meh. There is no reason that genetic engineering can't take your average meh and put it to an average like you're just having a really good time all the time. There is no reason for that. How do we know that? Some people naturally exist that are just fucking happy all the time. How do you think they got that way? Genetics. So we know it's possible. And we know theoretically that how happy you are is kind of a floating point that is designed by the structures of your brain. And if we engineer those structures differently, the floating point will change. Not rocket science. Significantly more complicated than rocket science, but nonetheless theoretically very tractable and will be a thing in the future, possibly, if other things don't get better or much worse first. And then lastly, brain-machine interface and enhanced affect. So it may be possible, and they're going to be doing this research very soon, especially if you have clinical depression. Our brain-machine interface might be able to pulse some shit into your brain in such a way to some part of it that makes you much happier all the time and no longer clinically depressed. That's definitely a thing that can be happening in the future. And we know that these things are likely to be developed, at least things like them are likely to be developed. Why? Because so long as our economies stay largely free, in the sense of not overly burdened with regulation by governments, market forces incentivize companies to make you as happy as possible. If you can sell the closest thing to happiness, people will pay you lots of money for it, because happiness is people paying for things they want, and now you are providing it. And because of competition, and because companies learn how to do what they do better over time, they will be getting much, much better over time at doing this. So we can expect people's ability to buy happiness to go up over time. You'll be able to buy more happiness. As this is not really a very bold prediction by a huge intellect. It's already been happening through all of fucking history. It's just a continuation of a trend. But when consuming this produce of companies, you should, as a responsible person, think of what kind of this consumption will make you happiest in the long term. In the long term, not just a short term. It's easy to be happy in the short term and then upset in the medium term. You want happiness, purchase the kind of happiness or the kind of leverage from companies that makes you happy in the longer and longer and longer term over time. Because thinking in the long term is one of the big keys to progress. What makes you more happy than progress? Guys, thanks for tuning in. See you next time.